Karen with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a scrapbook layout for Cut to You design team, and I'm also solving the CSI challenge number 380. And the file that I'm using today is the gorgeous floral mandala number 2 cut file. I absolutely loved working with this cut file. I decided that I wanted to have my layout go from left to right. So I ran my cut file over my page and just determined with a ruler there and a pencil just on the line that I wanted to create to have go over on the other side to the right hand side, and I took a deep breath and I cut through my cut file. The majority of it I obviously wanted to be on the right hand side, so I'm going to join up my layers here as I progress through on this particular layout. But I wanted to give a little bit of mixed media attention, and I wanted to tone down a little of the beautiful springy green coloured background. So what I've done is I've just put some pencil marks around the page just so I know where my cut file is going to be, and I am placing some white gesso around that area of the cut file. I want to get it to the point where you can see the actual patterned paper through, and it gives it a bit of an opaque look around the page. So I do use a spatula at first to put down this gesso, but it does work a lot better when I use my finger. It gives me an opportunity to spread it a little bit more and allow it to become a little bit more opaque. And I used the spatula a few times just to drag off some of the gesso because I did make it a little bit too thick. You do need to work a little bit fast when you're doing this particular method because the gesso will dry quite quickly because it's quite thinned out as you do that. And I do bring in the cut file every once in a while just to make sure that I'm getting that mixed media in the right section. So you'll see there I just needed to add a little bit more to the right hand side. It wasn't actually completely coming out on the outside of that. To give it a little bit of shine as well, once I put the cut file back down, I realised I'd put maybe it was a little bit too white. So I wanted to give a little bit of an extra little flair to the page. So I am just getting a little bit of paint messy here, using Shimmer's paint in Minor 49er, which is a beautiful gold shimmery paint. I love this paint. It's one of my favourite paints that I have in my stash. I have several pots of that. I always try to make sure I have plenty of it. I don't like to run out. And I've just placed that around the edges of the white gesso, and because obviously I didn't need to put it through the whole thing because the cut file was going to cover that up. And I just finish it off with just a little bit of splatters as well, because it gives the splatters give it a little bit more of a dimensional look as well when you look up close to it. So I really like how that turned out. It's not a huge amount of mixed media on the page, but it is a predominant sort of section, I guess, when you're looking at it like that. So it does look a little bit messy. While that was drying, I also grabbed out some other Paige Evans patterned paper from a previous collection. What I'm using for the main part of this collection is Bungalow Lane, which is leftovers that I have from a previous Kitaholics kit from several months ago. I love how the Paige Evans collections can tone in to the next one or the ones prior, either way you look at it. So I've just cut a few of these butterflies out while that mixed media was naturally drying as well. So to talk about the challenge for this month for CSI, the title for this month is such a fun one. It is Spunky Old Broads Month, and it's also Valentine's Day month, which will be a little bit featured potentially in my next layout, or at least components of it will be. But this layout this challenge just absolutely sang to me. This whole the Broads connection, I have a wonderful group of scrapping friends that I've been friends with now for a very long time. Couldn't live without them, and I knew exactly what I wanted to celebrate with this particular layout as soon as I got the challenge sent to me. So part of the challenge as well is also in the fine print, and it talks about the types of things that you could add to your layout. So things like flowers and leaves, ladies, which is obviously the photo that I have there, which is the bunch of us together, butterflies, which is why I cut out those butterflies, and also spring green. So that's why I went with that background paper of the springy green patterned paper. So to finish off the layout, what I've done here is I've pulled out a lot of the ephemera pieces from the pack that I have left over. I don't have too much left. This is pretty much all I have left of all the ephemera from this collection. So it was a little tricky working out which way I wanted to head here. So I wanted to incorporate all the colours that I put within the backing of the cut file. So certainly those pinks and the corally tones, and a little bit of the blues as well, but I didn't have any blue flowers left. So I pulled out that one flower that had the blue sort of bits in the middle, and had to play a little bit to get those colour tones just right around the page. I have popped most of those, several of those pieces up on some foam. With my photo, I have backed it with some tissue paper and some of the patterned paper as well, and I did pop that up on some craft foam as well, just to give that dimension. So the cut file I did stick straight down onto my page, so I took my dimension from my ephemera and my photo for this particular layout. Sometimes I do it the other way around. It's just a personal preference on where you see your layout heading. And with most of my layouts, I was going to look at having that space between the cut files, so on the left and the right. I was going to have that section clear. But a lot of my layouts, when I start working on that, for me, it just doesn't look right. So I tend to then join up my layouts or my ephemera in some way. So I decided that my title pieces and some of my journaling elements would sit within that section there. But I wanted to make sure it was relatively straight. So I have pulled out my T-square ruler there, and I am using some Pink Fresh Studio letters here, I think from the Some Days collection. And I didn't actually check first. I wanted it to be that corally sort of color, and I didn't have all the colors in those letters. So I had to then fiddle with them and turn an E from turn a something to a something, and the E had to be turned into an F, and the U had to come from a different letter. But that's with the wonderful thing about scrapbooking. You can do whatever you want when it comes to this sort of thing. So I try to make it as straight as I possibly could, even with a T-square ruler. I'm still not very good with putting titles down. I think that goes to my mind that I'm normally someone that doesn't put straight lines on things, so it really struggles to do that. But it's as straight as it can possibly be. For my journaling pieces, I've just added in some sayings from the collection as well, and I felt it needed just a little bit more embellishing. That was a little bit too, it was still too bare for me, so I do add in an additional little cluster below the title area, and with just a flower and a butterfly as well. So I do cut out a couple more butterflies and make sure that there's some more butterflies on the page. I mean, there's nothing better than having butterflies fluttering around on a page. I can't help myself. So this particular layout was absolutely a stash brushing layout. I've used lots of different product, and that is, like I said at the beginning, one of the best things about working with cut files. You don't have to have the latest or whatever. You can really make your layouts sing no matter what you do with your cut files. And I really do. This is probably one of my favorite layouts I've done in quite a while. I really loved how I just added in that little bit of mixed media, and those florals from the collection are just absolutely beautiful. And I would love it if you joined in on the CSI challenge this month. They are such a fun challenge to be a part of. I will leave all the different information in the description box below. So that's the link to the gorgeous cut file I've used on my layout today, the headquarters group over on Facebook, where we love it if you share what you're up to with the gorgeous cut files designed by Gwen, and also the link to the CSI blog so you can find out how to do the challenge and what you need to do and all the details. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I hope I've given you a little bit of inspiration today. I would love it if you liked, and if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye for now.